Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Emily, and I'm so happy to be here with you all today.
Hi, Emily, and hello to our wonderful listeners. I'm Paul, and I'm excited about our topic today. It's something we all experience, English at work.
Exactly, Paul. Whether you're just starting your career or you've been working for years, English plays a big role in many workplaces around the world. Today, we're going to talk about some common situations where you might use English at work, like writing emails, understanding reports, and participating in meetings.
That's right, Emily. And before we dive in, we have a small favor to ask our listeners. If you enjoy our podcast and find it helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. It really helps us to create more content for you.
Yes, please subscribe. And don't forget to give this episode a like if you find it useful. It lets us know what kind of topics you're interested in.
And if you have any questions or comments about today's topic, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. We love hearing from you.
Okay, let's get started. One of the most common ways we use English at work is through emails. Paul, what are some important things to keep in mind when writing professional emails in English?
That's a great question, Emily. When writing work emails in English, clarity and conciseness are key. You want to make sure your message is easy to understand. It's also important to use a polite and professional tone.
Sure, instead of just saying, "Send me the report," you could say, "Could you please send me the report when you have a moment?" Or, "I would appreciate it if you could send me the report." These phrases sound much more polite.
That's a great tip. And what about when you're starting an email? What are some common greetings?
That's a great tip. And what about when you're starting an email? What are some common greetings?
Well, if you know the person's name, you can start with "Dear Name," followed by a comma. For example, "Dear Sarah." If you're writing to a group of people and you don't know everyone's name, you could use "Dear Team" or "Hello Everyone."
That's helpful. And what about closing an email?
Common closings include "Sincerely," "Best regards," or "Thank you," followed by your name. "Best" is also a shorter and more informal option if you have a good working relationship with the person.
Good to know. Now, let's talk about the body of the email. What should we keep in mind when writing the main message?
Be clear about the purpose of your email right from the beginning. State what you need or what information you are providing. Use short paragraphs and bullet points if you have multiple points to make. This makes the email easier to read and understand.
That's excellent advice. Nobody wants to read a long, rambling email. And what about attachments? How should we handle those?
If you're attaching a file, make sure to mention it in the body of your email. For example, you could say, "Please find attached the report for your review." This way, the recipient knows to look for the attachment.
That makes sense. So, to summarize for our listeners, when writing emails in English at work, remember to be clear, concise, polite, and professional. Use appropriate greetings and closings, and always mention any attachments.
Exactly, Emily. Now, let's move on to another important aspect of work life: understanding reports. Reports can sometimes be filled with technical terms and data. What are some strategies for understanding them better in English?
That's a great point, Paul. Reports can definitely seem intimidating at first. One important strategy is to familiarize yourself with common business vocabulary related to your field. There are many online resources and glossaries that can help with this.
That's a good idea. Also, don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you don't understand something. If a term or a piece of data is unclear, it's better to ask a colleague or your supervisor for an explanation.
Absolutely. It's much better to ask than to make assumptions based on a misunderstanding. Another tip is to look for summaries or executive summaries at the beginning of the report. These usually provide a high-level overview of the main findings and conclusions.
Yes, those summaries can be very helpful for getting the main points quickly. Also, pay attention to any charts, graphs, or tables included in the report. These visual aids can often help to illustrate complex data in a more understandable way. Make sure you read the labels and headings carefully.
That's right. And if you need to present information from a report in English, practice explaining the key findings in your own words. This will not only help you understand the information better, but also make it easier for others to understand you.
Good point, Emily. Sometimes reports use specific acronyms or abbreviations. If you're not familiar with them, make a note and try to find out what they mean. There might be a glossary in the report itself, or you can ask a colleague.
Definitely. Understanding the language used in reports is crucial for staying informed and making good decisions at work.
Okay, Emily, let's move on to another common workplace scenario: meetings. Participating in meetings in a second language can be challenging. What are some useful phrases for expressing your opinions or asking for clarification in English meetings?
That's a very important topic, Paul. Meetings are a key part of collaboration in many workplaces. When you want to express your opinion, you can use phrases like, "in my opinion," "from my perspective," or "I think that."
Those are great starting points. And if you agree with someone, you can say, "I agree with name," or "that's a good point."
Exactly. And if you disagree politely, you could say, "I see your point, but I have a slightly different perspective." Or, "I'm not sure I completely agree with that because..." It's important to be respectful when expressing a different viewpoint.
Absolutely. What about when you need to ask for clarification? Sometimes the discussion can move quickly, and you might miss something.
In that case, don't hesitate to ask for clarification. You can say, "Could you please explain that again?" Or, "I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it?" Another useful phrase is, "What do you mean by term phrase?"
Those are very helpful phrases. And what if you want to add to someone else's point?
You can say, "Building on what name said," or "I'd like to add to that." These phrases help you contribute to the conversation smoothly.
And what about when you need to interrupt politely? Sometimes it's necessary to jump in.
You can use phrases like, "Excuse me," or "Sorry to interrupt, but," followed by your point. It's important to be polite when interrupting so you don't disrupt the flow of the meeting negatively.
That's good advice. Also, pay attention to the overall tone of the meeting. Is it formal or informal? This will help you choose the appropriate language.
Yes, the context is always important. And if you're leading a meeting in English, make sure to speak clearly and at a reasonable pace. It's also helpful to summarize key points and decisions throughout the meeting to ensure everyone is on the same page.
That's a great tip for meeting leaders. And for everyone else, active listening is crucial. Pay attention not only to what is being said, but also to nonverbal cues like body language.
Definitely. And if you're not a native English speaker, don't be afraid to take notes during the meeting. This can help you remember key information and action items.
That's a very practical tip. Now, Emily, let's talk about another aspect of daily work life: reporting tasks, especially in daily stand-up meetings or dailies. These are often quick meetings where team members share what they worked on, what they are planning to do, and any roadblocks they are facing. What kind of English is typically used in these situations?
In daily stand-ups, the language tends to be quite direct and concise. You usually talk about three main things. What did I do yesterday? What am I planning to do today? And are there any blockers or impediments?
That's right. For what did I do yesterday? You might say something like, yesterday I finished the user interface design, or I worked on fixing the bug in the login page. You would use the past simple tense to talk about completed tasks.
Exactly. And for what am I planning to do today, you would typically use the present continuous or going to for future plans. For example, today I'm planning to start working on the database integration, or I'm going to focus on writing the documentation.
And for are there any blockers, you would mention any issues that are preventing you from moving forward. For example, I'm blocked by the API not being ready yet, or I'm waiting for feedback on the design before I can proceed.
It's important to be brief and to the point in these daily meetings, as they are usually kept short to maximize productivity. You don't need to go into a lot of detail. Just provide a quick update.
That's a good reminder. And sometimes you might need to report your progress in writing, perhaps in a daily or weekly report. The language used here would be similar to what you say in a stand-up, but maybe a bit more formal.
Yes, in a written report, you might use slightly more formal language and complete sentences. For example, instead of just saying, fixed login bug, you might write, I successfully resolved the bug, affecting the user login functionality.
That makes sense. And what about when you finish a task? How might you communicate that to your team or manager in English?
You could say something like, I've completed the task name, or the feature report document is now finished. You might also want to mention any next steps, or if you need any further action from others. For example, I've completed the first draft of the report and have sent it to you for review.
That's a good way to communicate completion. Now, Emily, let's think about one-on-one meetings with your boss or supervisor. These can be important for discussing your performance, goals, and any challenges you might be facing. What kind of English is useful in these situations?
One-on-one meetings often require a more thoughtful and detailed approach to communication. When discussing your performance, you might use phrases like, I believe I've made good progress on project goal, and provide specific examples to support your statement.
Yes, it's always good to back up your statements with evidence. If you've exceeded expectations in some area, don't hesitate to mention it. For example, I was able to complete the project ahead of schedule and under budget.
And if you're facing challenges, it's important to communicate them clearly and professionally. You could say, I'm currently facing a challenge with issue, and then explain the situation and any steps you've taken or need to take to resolve it.
It's also a good opportunity to ask for guidance or support from your manager. You could say, I would appreciate your input on how to best approach problem. Or could you provide some guidance on topic?
Definitely. These meetings are also a good time to discuss your career goals and professional development. You might say, I'm interested in developing my skills in area, or I'm looking for opportunities to take on more responsibility in area.
That shows initiative and helps your manager understand your aspirations. Remember to listen actively to your manager's feedback and ask clarifying questions if needed.
Absolutely. And it's always a good idea to prepare for these meetings beforehand. Think about what you want to discuss and make some notes if it helps you stay organized.
That's excellent advice. Being prepared will help you communicate more effectively and make the most of the meeting.
Now, Paul, let's shift gears a little bit. We've talked a lot about using English for work-related tasks, but what about the social aspect of work? How do we use English to connect with colleagues and maybe even make plans after work?
That's a great point, Emily. Building good relationships with your colleagues is important for a positive work environment. Casual conversations in English often use more informal language.
Yes, for example, during a coffee break, you might ask a colleague, "How's your morning going?" Or, "Did you have a good weekend?" These are simple ways to start a friendly conversation.
And if you want to talk about your weekend, you could say, "I had a relaxing weekend. I went for a hike." Or, "It was a busy weekend. I visited my family."
If you're interested in someone's work, you could ask, "How's that project you're working on coming along?" Or, "Are you busy with task?"
And if you want to share something about your own work, you could say, "I'm working on task at the moment. It's quite challenging." Or, "I just finished task. It feels good to have it done."
What about making plans to hang out after work? How would you do that in English?
You could say something like, "Would you like to grab a coffee after work?" Or, "Are you doing anything tonight? Maybe we could go for a drink." More casually, you could say, "Fancy going for pizza tonight?"
And if you're inviting a group, you might say, "Hey everyone, a few of us are thinking of going out for dinner tonight. Are you in?"
If you need to decline an invitation politely, you could say, "Thanks for the invite, but I already have plans." Or, "That sounds great, but I won't be able to make it tonight. Maybe next time?"
That's important. Always be polite when accepting or declining invitations.
And what about when the workday is ending? What are some common ways to say goodbye and wish someone a good rest?
You could simply say, "Have a good evening," or "Have a good night." If it's Friday, you might say, "Have a great weekend."
And if you're leaving and want to say goodbye to everyone, you could say, "Bye everyone," or "See you tomorrow."
Sometimes, if you know someone has had a long day, you could say, "Hope you get some rest," or "Time to relax."
These small social interactions in English can really help you build rapport with your colleagues and feel more connected at work.
Absolutely, Paul. It's not just about the formal language of emails and reports. The everyday conversations matter too.
So, to recap our discussion today, we've covered using English for emails, understanding reports, participating in meetings, reporting tasks in daily stand-ups, one-on-one meetings with your boss, and even social interactions with colleagues. It's all part of using English in daily work life.
Yes, and we hope that the phrases and tips we've shared today will be helpful for our listeners as they navigate their professional lives in English. Remember, practice makes perfect, so don't be afraid to use English whenever you have the opportunity.
That's right, Emily. And don't worry about making mistakes. Everyone makes them when learning a new language. The important thing is to keep practicing and learning.
And on that note, we're coming to the end of our episode today. Thank you so much for tuning in to Mr. English Channel. We really appreciate you spending your time with us.
Yes, thank you everyone. And before we go, we have one last request. If you enjoyed this episode and found it informative, please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
And please share this episode with anyone you think might find it useful. The more people we can help learn English, the better.
And don't forget to leave us a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's topic or any other suggestions you might have for future episodes.
We read all your comments and appreciate your feedback. Thank you again for listening, and we look forward to speaking with you in our next episode.
Bye for now, and have a wonderful day.
Take care, everyone.